Hey, how you doing? My name is D. Grant Smith. I am the relationship growth farmer, and I help people grow and cultivate and harvest love and success from within you, ultimately leading to you operating as your true whole self. Now, I do this through a variety of different ways. You can get more information on that through the description below, which has got access to my books and my courses and my coaching. All that stuff's available there. And I'm here for you to help you grow and cultivate love from not only within you, but attracting that more into your life. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys some things that I've been learning about and growing in over the past several months and actually over the past several years. I'm going to be actually doing a whole series of these videos in um, coming days, weeks. I don't know how long I'm going to do this, but it's something I'm reading about in a couple of different books, and there's several different people I've been following on YouTube, including Shelley Ballard and Kim Velez and Aaron Doty and Life by Lucy and some other people. They talk about some law of attraction stuff. They also talk about Neville Goddard's law of assumption. And I'm learning about how these are actually not two polar opposite ways of manifesting our realities, but they're actually two sides of the same coin. I'm going to do a separate video on that later. But what I want to talk about, just kind of as an intro to what these different videos are going to be, so I'm going to talk about Neville Goddard's law of assumption. Now, Neville Goddard was a mystic and metaphysical teacher from the 1930s on into the late 60s, maybe early 70s. I know he died in 1972. But he wrote a series of books, and he did a whole series of lectures, and he focused on um, changing our understanding of ourselves and also changing our understanding of God, uh, and ultimately our understanding of spirituality as a whole. One of Neville's big teachings is that God lives within us, and God is not this external force that is outside of us that we have to seek out and also have to seek approval from. It's a matter of us going within and loving and accepting ourselves exactly as we are and operating from a place of creativity and imagination. He talks a lot about how the infinite creation force is the human imagination. And that is our mind's limitless capacity to envision anything. He talks about how, and this is true, this is something Steve Jobs talked about as well. Anything that you can envision in your mind is something that is possible. If you can envision it in your mind, that means that this is something that can come into being. And the more you will stick to that envisioning, the more that you will allow your imagination to take a hold of this. And this is where the law of attraction can come into play too, because what you focus on, you're sending energy to. Law of attraction is very much about energy and vibration. Law of assumption doesn't necessarily talk about the energy and vibration of things. Its whole focus is actually on the focus and the imagination and the dreaming. And in the imagination is feeling the wish fulfilled. That's something that Neville talks about a whole lot in his teachings. Feeling the sensation, feeling the emotions, and envisioning the five senses of the wish fulfilled, whatever that wish may be. Another big key factor in what Neville teaches, he talks about persisting until what you want to experience hardens into fact. And where a lot of us get off is it's easy for us to get into a place where, and maybe it's not easy for everybody, but it's easy for most of us to get into a place where we can imagine what we want to experience. And so we get into that imaginary place and we envision what it is, but we only imagine it once or twice. And then we experience something in our outer world, whether that's a relationship or that's something that we're going through at work, or maybe it's in a business that we're working in and where we meet resistance. We meet things that cause us to doubt ourselves or doubt our potential or doubt the possibility of what we want coming into being. And so we let that resistance stop us. And we tell ourselves, oh, I guess that's the way it really is. What that is the law of assumption, which is what Neville teaches. He teaches that if you, whatever it is that you assume to be fact, whatever it is that you assume to be true is what is going to be fact, and what is going to be true is what's going to show up in your reality. So if you meet some sort of resistance, if you meet something that causes doubt and you choose to follow the storyline that doubt is telling you, you're going to experience more and more and more of that. So what you have to do is you have to persist in your imagination, persist in your wish, persist in going into that place in your mind and feeling the emotions in your heart where you are operating from a place of faith. True faith is operating from the belief in the unseen reality coming into being and being the way that it actually is. And you are going to persist in that faith and persist in that confidence and persist in that belief in here and in here until it hardens into fact. Now, the part that a lot of us get off on, and I say get off it, meaning we get off the train and we don't stay on the path, we don't stay on the tracks, is things will start to shift. Relationship will start to shift. It'll start to get better. It'll start to improve. Business starts to shift. Business starts to pick up and new clients start to come in and new opportunities start to come in. And then we stop doing the work. We stop doing the affirmations. We stop doing the reminders to ourselves. We stop telling ourselves the story of the life we want to be living. We stop envisioning what it is that we want to experience. We stop visualizing because we tell ourselves, this has been my story. We tell ourselves, okay, cool. Things are working now. I don't have to do this anymore. What that is it's kind of like a smith in a forge who's been working with metal. If you take the metal out too soon and you're like, okay, cool, my piece is done, I don't have to worry about this anymore, that metal hasn't hardened into fact. It hasn't hardened into its full strength and it hasn't taken the shape that you want it to. So it's going to have to go back into the fire and work more. It's going to have to continue to persist until it takes the shape. And maybe you have to hammer it into the shape, and the hammering it in is the metaphor for you persisting in the belief and in the faith and continuing to do the work until the fullness of what you want to experience comes into being. Not stopping and not pulling away and not taking a time out or saying, okay, I'm done, before the full dream and the full vision has been realized. We have to persist until it hardens into fact. And that's one of Neville's gigantic teachings. It's in all of his books. But the law of assumption is that we are going to assume the wish fulfilled. And we are going to be persistent in this assumption, which means we're going to change the story we've been telling ourselves in here of what we're capable of what's possible, and what we're going to experience. We're going to change that story and we're going to be persistent with believing the story that we want to create until the fullness of it comes into being. So I encourage you to read Neville Goddard's books. I'm actually reading a giant anthology of his books. I think it's all 10 of his books in one thing. You can get it on Amazon. And I might leave a link for it below. But read Neville Goddard's stuff. You can find his teachings and his recordings all over YouTube. And you can find different people that teach law of assumption if you want to look that up. Or maybe that's how you found this video, by typing in law of assumption. But this is the understanding of Neville Goddard's teaching. Now, where does that meet the work that I do? Where does that meet the stuff that I talk about in terms of growing and harvesting and producing love and success from within? Well, it's everything that I just said. It's operating from your mind and choosing to believe the best outcome for you. That's self-love. Self-love is choosing to change how you feel about yourself and choosing to change what you believe about yourself. And if you've been through hard times, if you have struggled with some sort of difficulty or challenge or heartbreak, you've let that difficulty or that challenge or that heartbreak dictate to you what your story is, or you're questioning yourself and you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, and you don't feel confident and you don't feel peace, and you feel like people are going to reject you and they're going to deny you what you want. Hey man, I understand. Spent 30 something years living that story and operating from that assumption. And so in every area of my life, I experienced more and more and more and more and more of that. I experienced it in relationships. I experienced it in business. I experienced it in my personal growth. I experienced it in friendships. And it wasn't until I came into these teachings and I came into this understanding that it's not because I'm not worthy, it's because I believe that and I'm sticking to that story. I'm assuming that other people are going to see me as unworthy, whether that's business or relationship or anything. And the slightest bit of resistance is going to confirm or affirm that belief. And it's up to me to change my own story. It's up to me to go within and change the way I see myself and change what I believe and plant different seeds inside my heart. seeds of doubt and seeds of unworthiness and seeds of fear, I'm going to dig those out, and I'm going to plant seeds of love inside my heart, the way that I feel about myself, and inside my mind, the way that I think about myself. And I'm going to do this on a continual basis. And I'm going to assume the best in me until my assumption hardens into fact. And I've experienced different forms of transformation over the past several years, one of them being overcoming the gut-wrenching heartbreak of divorce and lifting myself up out of that proverbial death pit in what felt like hell and establishing myself on solid ground, totally changing my career dynamics and attracting opportunities to grow and serve and work with people in different capacities. And if you want to know how to do that, I've got a link to my Be Solid framework, which is below. Go ahead and check that out. I've got courses and books all packaged together it's like $7. It's super easy for you to get a hold of. And I've got even more resources down there below for you too. If you watched the video up to this point, leave a comment below. What is your biggest takeaway from this? What is it about what I've talked about with Neville Goddard's teachings that really connected with you? And what is your big dream? What is your wish that you want fulfilled? Leave a comment below and let me know, and let's have a conversation about it. I'm big on relationships. I'm big on cultivating relationships with you, and I am here for you. So I appreciate you watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up and share this video so that more people can believe in themselves, change their stories, and us all live in our wish and wishes fulfilled. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon.